If you could take lessons from any expert, what would you learn, and who would it be?
Taylor Swift. I would like to learn a lot from her. I would like to learn how she's dealt with heartbreaks and hate, and for people mocking her.
Yeah. How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Unbreakable, um, complicated, and family orientated. Hi guys, you're watching Behind the Brand with Bryan Elliott. I'm a content creator, singer, and editor, I would say.
Hey, I'm Bryan Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here with the incomparable Lele Pons. Lele, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I usually ask my guests, how'd you get this job?
How did I get this job?
Yeah.
Not paying attention in school. I mean, I used to do, it's the truth. I wasn't really good at school, and I decided to, focus my energy into creating, videos. I got Vine, and I did it for fun. It wasn't a thing to be a Viner. I was just having fun, and then it got into a big deal. I started having fan pages, and people recognized me, and then I moved to LA. But it was just because I wasn't really good at school. I tried my best, but then I decided to have a hobby, which was to make videos, and it helped me out at the end. So that's how I got started. There's really no strategy.
Yeah, I remember that whole Vine era. It was exciting. Let's go back in the chronology a little bit, and let's go back to young Lele, maybe when you're thinking about what you want to be when you grow up. And I ask this because a lot of people, and I think maybe it's not really age specific. Of course, younger people are still trying to figure out where their passion is and what they love to do. But even, people who are mid-career right now are pushing the reset button and trying to figure out what they're great at or what they want to do. What were you thinking about early on? Did you want to be a performer?
I did want to be a performer. I wanted to be something in music. I was going to apply to Berkeley Music School in Boston. I went for a semester. I went during summer to stay there for like a week or two, and then I stayed there, and it was pretty good. I That was always my goal, to do something when it comes to music and anything. I loved music, and even dancing. I used to love dancing a lot. But then everything changed, and right now my favorite thing to do is create and direct a lot.
Did you have any influence from your parents? What did your parents say? We talked sort of off camera that your roots are in Venezuela. Did your mom say like,
No, my mom's a doctor, my dad's an architect.
yeah, but did they say like get a real job, or like when you told them you want to perform?
They really have been very supportive with me, like since I was like so small. I love them a lot because they, as long as I'm happy, they're happy. They're that type of parents. So.
Yeah, that's very lucky. I think sometimes,
Not a lot of kids have that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, as parents, you can sometimes get stuck into this idea of what you think is best for your kid, but you may push them into a road or down a path
They don't want to, yeah.
it's not their natural fit. So, talk to me about the evolution of this creating the platform. You talk about being a creator. You do all the editing. You're an editor too. That's a ton of work, right, to do on your own. And I know that other creators sort of have told the same story, but I want to hear it from you. How did that go at first, and what was your process?
Well, when I was little, I didn't really talk until I was 5. So like, I had a hard time talking, but I did like to draw, and I did like to play with Barbies and make movies with myself. Like with like Barbies and stuff. So it's like that's somehow editing. I like to make stories, and like if I had something to say to my dad, I would draw it. Like, hey, go pick me up, or like go get something for me from the fridge. I would like draw it and be like, look, like you do this. And when I was
Interesting.
little, yeah. So I love editing because it's something I usually grew up doing without really like without a computer, but like with Barbies and like me drawing a lot. So I like stories. I
Yeah.
like stories a lot. My dad's someone that's very creative when it comes to stories as well. So, and
And
I'm
what
someone that observe a lot. So I don't talk that much. I observe. So I have like movies in my head.
Yeah, I think that maybe you have a good brain because Albert Einstein was the same way. Did you know that? He didn't talk until he was like 3 or 4, maybe 5 years old. People thought that he wasn't very
I
smart
definitely
at
know
all.
Einstein. He's so smart. It's a different time. I don't know, but it's different.
Well, I guess I just say that because um, kids who don't, kids who are quiet, or even adults who are quiet, it doesn't mean that they don't have anything to say. Like I'm in my head quite a bit, so that's very relatable to me. And I actually think it's a really good message to talk to people about who may be comparing themselves. Let me think who's so one of my friends is Gary Vaynerchuk, and Gary is very dogmatic and outgoing and outspoken. You can't shut the guy up. He's amazing. But like you and I, we're in our heads a lot. We may be
Yeah.
talking, but it doesn't mean we don't have something important to say, right?
Yeah, no, we have a lot to say. It just like the way we say it. And I used to talk with like when I did my vines for the first 2 years, I just did vines that had to do that. I put music in the background. It was more physical comedy. Like I would give
Yeah.
you a, like, it's like what's Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Physical
You
comedy.
know, physical comedy that you won't understand what the message is by just the movement and the story.
Yeah, I love that. What are some of your early inspirations from either content creation or music?
Well, music, Shakira, obviously, and a lot of movies. Just every I watched a lot of movies. Inspiration, I would have to say, just like my family. And there's just maybe movies when when I was little. There's no one that can be like, oh, I wanted to be like this Viner girl, because what I
Right.
did, so like it was the first wave of social media almost.
Yeah.
And,
Give us
yeah,
some
so
context for people who don't know that era. Give us some context. Put a timestamp on it. When was your Vine um, timeline?
2013 it started. Like first it was YouTube,
Hmm.
and it was like YouTubers, but then when social media stars started happening after like Vine.
Hmm.
So Vine wasn't a thing when I started. It was like these kids doing creative stuff, 6 seconds movies, or like it could be 6 seconds of anything, even dancing, singing. But it became a huge deal, and then after Vine was done, it inspired other things. Inspired doing skits in Instagram, on YouTube. TikTok came after that, so
Yeah.
which is recent. But it started with Vine.
Yeah. Let's unpack that a little bit more because I think there's some good lessons in there. So YouTube launched in like 2005. When YouTube came out, I was working for a big Hollywood studio. I was making, on the movie side, helping market movies like Meet the Parents or the original Shrek. I was, on the brand strategy and marketing team, and I got a chance to fall into production. And for me, like I was inspired because I saw these creators like the Ron Howards of the world, who gave me some really generous advice about going for it, and that's why I decided to cut the cord and start
Hmm.
my production company shortly after YouTube launched. But like, so talk to me about your thought process. Why not stay on YouTube and just create, short videos there or stick with long form? Because it sort of was during that timeline. People were always telling me, if your video is more than 3 minutes, it's too long. People are not going to watch anything more
Um,
than 3 minutes.
I have short expansion. What is it called? Short expansion.
Attention span?
Yes, that's what it's called. Yeah, I have that, and many kids have that as well.
Okay.
And sometimes when it's too long, for example, for me, I just skip sometimes, or I just don't want to watch it because it's too long. And obviously, not 3 minutes. Like I could
Yeah.
do that, but 6 seconds videos. It's just like wow, like people get addicted to it because they're
Yeah.
they're all so different. Just like TikTok, that's why it's so big because it's not that long. Unless you're obsessed with like a channel, you'll watch it. But like if you're not, like, and somebody tells you, "Hey, look at this whole video," it's like, don't worry, it's like 5 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's the truth. That's how I was. So for me, Vine was like the beginning of short content,
Yeah.
which is something that right now a lot of people like short content. Even
Yeah.
reels on Instagram are short. It has to be 15 seconds and no more than 15 seconds.
Yeah. So do you think those constraints helped you? Because sometimes you can look outside in and you go, there's so many constraints, so many rules,
I did
barriers.
start, I did start doing YouTube because I wanted my content to be longer. But
Yeah.
I never passed the 4 minute line or 5 minute. Like it was,
Interesting.
yeah. I was able to. Oh, if you start in 6 seconds, you have so much stuff to do in 3 minutes. So
Yeah.
I was able to, tell a story beginning to end 3 minutes on YouTube, and it was easy for me.
Yeah. So talk about the editing process too. Was it easy to keep stuff, or like, because I edit too, and
It's
sometimes I
so
get so romantic, so attached to
It's
my
so
project.
crazy because as I'm filming, I already have the edit in my head before. I
Yes.
first have the edit in my head and then I direct. I don't have
Yes.
a notebook. That's why nobody edited for me when I started YouTube. I was like, don't touch this. Like,
Yeah.
why the people even on the special, like the people that were acting in my YouTube or my extras were like, why am I doing this? Why am I saying this now? And I'm like, trust me, when I edit it,
Yeah.
'cause I'm really bad at communication. When I edit it, it'll make sense, I promise. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. That's also very relatable. I shoot and direct a lot the same way. It's like I see the movie in my head before, I see the concept, I see how it lays out, and even I can change the order in my mind, the chronology. Like I can
yeah.
shoot the end in the beginning or the middle and the like, and it's like a puzzle piece in my head. So that makes a lot of sense. Not easy to do. I mean, it's helpful to have a shot list and all that, but
So easy. I know. I wish, but it's I don't know. That was in the beginning, obviously. That was in
yeah,
the beginning when like right now everything's changed. Now I do need a book to help me, but still, I have it in my head before I do anything.
yeah. And so when Vine ended, like, what were you thinking? Was your whole world coming crashing down, or?
No, Vine when Vine was ending, it was ending because the creators were leaving. So I was already on my way out. It wasn't that like it happened. It was like a process that we knew it was going to happen. So many stopped and many went other directions. And I decided to bring everything that I knew and I've done to Instagram, and then that's why I became an Instagram star right after.
Yeah, so you have 44, close to 50 million followers on
43.
Instagram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For those who care about the optics, and it's a very impressive number, I can think of like I did a story on Jimmy, Mr. Beast, recently, who hit 50 million subs
It's
on
amazing.
just one of his main channels, which is a huge accomplishment. So, what do you credit then to that kind of success, that viral success?
Who do I credit? Well, my team, but to get those many numbers, it's not overnight, at least for me, And when someone says, "How did you do it?" I was like, every day being consistent. People want to follow if they like you don't force people to like you or to follow you. You don't. If they
Right.
like you, sometimes you gain more followers than before. I mean, I used to do a lot of viral videos of like stunts. Then I used to do skits. Then I used to do dancing and singing and so different because I like to evolve and I speak Spanish, so I got that audience. I speak Italian, I speak English. So I can't tell you how I did it. I just know if I know it was very authentic. It was like just happened. It just happened, and it continues happening. Sometimes I gain, sometimes I lose, but it's always like there's no like book that will tell you how to do this.
Yeah. So let's go back and just, for those who are aspiring creators like us, like you, who want to have phenomenal success. So, like, the creative process, I know you talked about a lot of it being sort of a vision in your head. You can see the movie or the edit before you shoot. Do you have a content calendar? If so, what does that look like? What is your process to now sort of plot out these?
That's the annoying part. I don't like sometimes I cannot have an idea for a week, and then sometimes I have it every day, and it's the worst thing because I wish I had someone to be like, you should do this idea. I just got this idea. No, sometimes I'm just like, my God, my brain is fried. I don't have anything, and then I go out and I'm like, oh my God, that's funny, and then I turn into something else.
Yeah.
That's why it's very important to go out because if you stay at your house, sometimes I can't get an idea. Because I literally for these 8 years I've been doing this, I've thought of everything, but you haven't though, because then I find new stuff. But it's so frustrating because it's not something that you find. I don't like to find things on the internet and then do them. But the good thing is I now it's okay to do that because of TikTok. But on my Vine days, you couldn't copy each other, so you had to come up with your own idea.
Yeah, that's super interesting. There's so much there I want to ask you. So, when do you like mark the day or the year that you actually got started as a creator? I know like 2013 is Vine, but like when do you actually mark the start of your creator career?
Well, I think when I was invited to go to LA with other creators. When other creators started seeing me as a creator, I was like, okay, I'm a creator.
Yeah. And when was
Uh,
that?
that was maybe 2015, 2 years after.
Okay, so it sounds like you really start,
It was very
crediting.
slow.
What's that?
It was very slow. It wasn't something that happened overnight. It was like just consistency, and then my work paid off for other creators, and then I started.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're sort of marking your career starting on Vine and nothing before that. So basically, 2013 is when Lele sort of went into this full time.
Yeah.
And about what age were you at the start of this whole thing? Because I also want to ask, like, how did you get money? Because it's a tough question for everyone to ask themselves. Like, maybe you're working part time, or maybe you're working full
I was
time.
in high school. I was in high school. I was 17. So my parents, were giving me the money
It's
in that
supporting you.
moment.
Okay, so you're living at home. You're 17. You're doing these vines. It was starting to get traction. Were,
Yeah.
were you working any part time jobs? And was this in Miami?
No, I wasn't. I think I was 16 or 17. So I was a sophomore year, going to my junior year. So I wasn't, didn't have a part-time job. I was probably going to get one during college,
Yeah.
um, when I lived alone, but I was living with my parents.
Okay. So, and where'd you end up going to school?
In college?
Yeah.
I didn't. I went straight without even knowing I would was going to become a successful or not. I just left after high school, and I came to LA and saw, let's see if this works. Take a year off. Let's see if this works, and it worked.
Yeah.
And I, brand deals and everything. That was enough. That kept me stable.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
And were your parents ever encouraging you to have like a backup plan? Like, okay, just in case this Vine thing doesn't take off, Layla,
Yeah.
you should get like a degree in business, or were they giving you that kind of advice?
Yeah, they were like, okay, if this doesn't work, you can always go back to college and go where you wanted to go, which was like New World, or um, go to Boston,
Yeah.
the music school in Boston,
Yeah.
Berkeley.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Let me ask you this. So let's just go to like fantasy land for a second. And if you had your choice, if you could be the CEO of another company in a totally different industry, could be anything, who would you want to trade places with for a couple weeks or a month to see what that's like?
right now
Yeah.
I would like to be a doctor,
And why
because
is that?
my mom, the way that she talks about it is just like, my God, I wish I was part of that. Uh, it's just because my mom's love for it inspires me to actually want to know why she's so in love with it. Or more my mom than my dad, I think. So I think that, and just knowing that you're saving a life, I don't know, it's just like imagine knowing what you have. Imagine, like, because I don't know, it's just something that my mom does it so easily, and I'm just like, I kind of want to do that.
Yeah, it's important work. Do you have brothers and sisters?
No.
You're only child?
Yeah, I'm an only child.
Yeah. And how's that working for you?
It's tough now. I wish I had, because like I never want to be alone. My friends are like, "Oh my God, Lele!" Like, and every night I have someone over for like a sleepover. But now I have a boyfriend, so I'm not that alone.
And do you have
And
pets? Are you a pet person?
yeah, no, I'm a pet person. I have a dog, one dog.
Yeah. What kind of dog is it?
It's a Japanese red toy poodle.
Oh, okay. Cute. I'm a dog person too. Um, Talk to me, a lot of people are fronting, let's face it. They don't like to talk about their mistakes or what they're afraid of. But I think it's important to talk about on this series because, let's face it, you can't have success without failure. And so I want to know about some of the things that have gone wrong in order for you to figure things out and get it right. So, what are some of your mistakes you can talk about, lessons learned?
Many lessons. The biggest lesson that I've learned is that you can never post something and not think about it. You have to think about something before you post it, because and it's the truth. That's the biggest thing. Like, you might not be thinking about it in that moment. Also, educate yourself, because right now, whatever, people are very sensitive. Whatever you post, that you think it's okay, it might not actually be okay.
Right.
And as someone that's so open. And my God, I should stop posting that much. It's a big target. I'm a big target because like, and it's just I think being so unprivate, like
Yeah.
instead of being someone like I don't know Adele or Beyonce who never like come out when they have to. No, people like social media stars are say whatever they feel like in the moment, and that can cost you a lot. And but I do think that we all do make mistakes, but the most important is to learn from them and not make them again.
Yeah.
Like that is so important because you can make some, but don't do that one again.
Yeah. Can you think of one specific time that you messed up that you regret?
Many times. I mean, even like when Vine days, I put the flag in the back and it fell by accident,
Oh, yeah.
without even me I didn't even see it, and I posted it and somebody saw it, and then they were like, "Oh, like how dare you, the flag falls." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I didn't even see it fall,"
Right. Right.
'cause I was filming and I posted it right away without even checking the background. So that was one of them.
Isn't that interesting? Like I think I'm guilty of that too. Like when I'm watching videos, sometimes I look past the performer and I look like, what's hanging on their wall, or like what's on their bookshelf? What book are they?
I've seen that before. Like people are just, I mean, oh, they said this, or like somebody can even be singing a song and they say the N word without really wanting to, but it says it in the song, but you can't say it. So
Yeah.
that's many of the problems that I've seen with my friends is that they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you're right. That's a good point. There's a lot more transparency and just sort of authenticity, like just going for it, like you said, unscripted with people who are on social media compared to someone who's probably more produced, like a Taylor Swift or someone like that who's got 20 people behind her on the public
Exactly.
side, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
a good point. Um, Talk about where you think the white space is, because I love what you're doing. And the reason I love is because, I came from the Hollywood side, the big studio side, and jumped over to YouTube, started a production company. So it's like I've seen $50 million budgets. I've seen blockbuster movies, walked the red carpet with all these, amazing movie stars. And then, I cut the cord and started basically from scratch on YouTube, creating original content. So I've seen both sides of it. And I love when Hollywood talent comes over to social media, or like whether it's Instagram or TikTok or YouTube. Now you're doing the opposite. You've found success, you've gotten traction, you've built this big audience, and now you're taking your career to the next level. Talk about that process and what that feels like, and what you're doing.
It's hard because people, you know, they just if you don't come from the traditional world, a lot of people are like, you don't deserve it. You're just an influencer, you're just a social media star. But guess
Yeah.
what? Like right now, many people, it could be even you, can start there because that's how people are starting mostly. Like, it's hard to start through the traditional
Yeah.
world, but right now everything's changing and it sucks. But that's how it is right now. Social media stars are becoming it's and they're slowly going to become. I mean, Shawn Mendes was a viner. That's
Yeah.
where I met him. But because he got out of it faster, he's considered obviously traditional, but he did start that. That's where I met him. But that's great because he was able to put out. Even Justin Bieber was started on YouTube. He was able to put out his. He wasn't maybe like he went to other places and they didn't want him. You
Yeah.
know, but thanks to YouTube, thanks to like TikTok and everything, there's talents that you never even knew existed, and it's easier to get access to. So
Yes. So this show is called Behind the Brand, and we talk a lot about brands. And of course, people are also brands. You have a personal brand.
yeah,
Uh, what is the Lele brand?
the Lele brand is just like I think it's just like it's just like I don't even you know what? It's just so many things. I the girl who's trying to make it because I don't think I've made it. There's never a moment I'm like I made it. I'm good. Just the girl who's being herself and is trying to find what she loves, and she is finding what she loves. But there's never people say, "Hey, so like when did you know you made it?" And I was like, "I haven't yet." Every day is something new.
Yeah.
I So I can say I can say my brand is a relatable girl who's just trying to make it.
Yeah. Well, I like the early Shakira comparison. Like, what would Shakira look like on Vine in 2013? Maybe that's, a little bit of a good comparison.
Well, she was always herself, very authentic and
Yeah,
humble,
that's what I
and
mean.
yeah, and like without shoes, kind of like her even her album was like los pies de calzo, which means like shoes like without shoes.
Yeah,
I think she would be someone like very jumpy, very excited. Definitely do music stuff, definitely not comedy, but like have a big personality.
yeah. Talk to me about what you're doing in music, your music career. It's taking off.
I'm doing music. It's like Spanish music, urban music, and I'm trying new stuff. I'm trying to see. I can't say that I have it all figured out. I'm building my team right now at the same time because I've gone through many people to figure out like what exactly is the brand of Lele Pons in the music world.
Yeah.
I'm finding it out right now. It's something that's very slow that I'm doing.
How is it, going from basically independent to being more produced? I mean, that must be difficult, right? Like before you pretty much had all this creative freedom and now I'm assuming that you have producers saying, oh, you should sing it this way, or, we want the lyrics this way, or
Really,
whatever.
I have with my team, they're very they get all my ideas. They're very open. Thank God. I'm super happy about that. They're
Yeah.
not people that are just like, no, you're gonna do it our way. That's the contract that I have.
And you have partnerships, like whether it's Spotify or others, like how do you pick partners nowadays? And think of it like from the context of like, if you're giving advice to other people who are trying to make it like you are, what's the advice about how to pick partners? How have you made those decisions?
That with those decisions, my team makes them because they have more experience with what's a good partner, and also whoever you feel cool with, whoever makes you feel more at home, more it's like more yeah, like you consider your family. Like, let's say I consider, oh, I like Spotify more or Apple or this because of the family. I love how they treat me, and what can they give? What can I give them? How is our partnership gonna do? Like for example, like 3 years ago, my favorite partner was like let's say YouTube. Why? Because I was a YouTuber. I love YouTube. I still do, and I think it's one of the most important things to do for when you're a singer is still YouTube. But I know them the most. But now I'm getting to know other people, and I'm just like, my God, like I love them too. So it's hard. It's really hard. I think you should just be tight with everybody, but have one more than the other.
Yeah. Who's your dream collaboration with, like on the music side?
Daddy Yankee. I love collaborating with the with like male artists a lot. I would love to with a female artist, but definitely Daddy Yankee was like my first one. More than Shakira because Shakira is like untouchable. Don't touch her. I can't like be myself, and I can be myself with Daddy Yankee because he knows me.
Oh, wait, let's talk about that a little bit more. So what do you mean? Why can't you be yourself? Are you too
But I'm
nervous
such a
or?
big fan. I'm just too much of a big fan. It's like it's not gonna work out. Trust me. I already saw her one time. I couldn't stop crying, and I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. I can't. I start
Um,
crying every time I see her, and even like when seeing her in the Super Bowl, I started crying. That music. If I ever do a song with her, I might just not even make it to the music video.
yeah, no, I see your point. Like I've been starstruck. I've had those moments myself, but
It's the
like,
only artist that I can be myself around.
yeah, but think about J Lo's, come up story, right? Like she was just a dancer and then, background person. And all of a sudden now she's a superstar, started from the bottom. Now we're here kind of thing, right? Like, can't you ever see yourself getting there where I'm
That
sure because she's so humble, she would probably like really help you.
I just I'll be too nervous. It's too much of like anxiety. I already suffer from anxiety. I can't. I wanna maybe in the future. I can't tell you now. I'm not prepared. So when I'll be prepared, I'll for sure do it. I hope I will be one day prepared to do it. But I feel more comfortable right now with Daddy Yankee.
Yeah, that's fair. So staying on the preparation thing, like, do you have any routines, rituals? Like, do you have like a set morning routine? Do you wake up at a certain time? Do you eat a certain food? Do you go work out, meditation? Like, what does your morning look like?
It's everything is so different every day. Whatever I feel like, that's what happens when you have a person that's like. It depends how I feel. I feel that morning. Am I feeling depressed? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling like outgoing? Do I want to work out? Do I feel lazy? It's like I don't know what happens at nighttime, but in the morning I always have different moods.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I'm kind of like that too. Every day is a little different. I was
Mm-hmm.
just curious, not having a plan is also a routine, right? Like just being spontaneous and
But it shouldn't be like that. I wish I did have. I mean, I do, but then I'm like sometimes I'm just like I can't do it right now. I can't. So I can't tell you. Every day is a little bit different for me. Like my schedules are changing a lot. I have this. I have interviews. I have to go to do this. I have to do a photo shoot. Like it's never the same.
yeah, yeah. And
Creating wise, every day I do something.
so maybe for other people who struggle with anxiety or these kinds of issues, what kind of advice would you give them? Like how do you cope when like your world is, everything's spinning or everything's happening at one time or there's fires to put out, whatever metaphor you want to use.
I
What are some
think
of your coping?
yoga. I do a lot of yoga.
Okay.
I think surrounding yourself with people that give you so much positive energy because energy is so important.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Working out makes you, but even sometimes you don't even want to work out because you're so anxious. Surround yourself with people that will calm you down and you trust.
Yeah.
That helps you a lot. And obviously therapy, you need it because it helps you a lot. I drink my medication as well, and that helps me a lot. But surrounding yourself with people that makes me so much less anxious.
Yeah, I like that you said therapy because there can sometimes be a stigma behind that. We had Russell Wilson on the show, who's a professional football player. He plays in the NFL. He's the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. And he was like, Bryan, listen, I go to the gym. I have a fitness coach. Why wouldn't I go to therapy and have a mental coach? It's
Mm-hmm.
like the same thing. You got to work, you got fitness for your brain and fitness for your body. It's like you can't have one without the other. And so, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because it's important.
It's so important. I've had it since I was 9. So
Yeah, super good. I want to do something fun as we kind of close this out. It's something I did with Demi Lovato and a couple of other people I thought was fun. Have you ever played that game, 20 Questions?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, so Lele, here we go. 20 questions. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Here we go. What's the hardest part about being you?
Self-confidence.
What's a talent that you have that most people don't know?
I can do impersonations of people really well.
Like what? Like who?
No, just like if like I'm like friends, I can be like, this is what he would say. Like I can just be like, this is what my friend. This is so him. This is like it's just not so much celebrities. It's
Yeah.
more like reading people very well.
Name one thing you can't live without.
My phone.
What are you really bad at?
Gymnastics. I'm not flexible at all.
Who is someone living or dead that you'd like to have lunch with or drinks with?
I would have loved to have drinks with Audrey Hepburn.
What's the funniest thing you've ever read about yourself on the internet? Comments or whatever.
Somebody said that I was born in Pennsylvania one time, and I was just like, I don't even know where they got it from. So I was just like very curious, and and then other people started saying that too. So it was like a whole thread of people saying like, oh, she's from Pennsylvania. I know she is. And I was like, what?
Oh, I think I know what that reference is. I think they're confusing you with Justine, who's another blonde,
Maybe that's how it happened.
Yeah, because she's from Pennsylvania. Favorite vacation spot?
Oh, Italy, Venice.
Favorite food?
Tortellini, my grandma's tortellini.
Favorite book?
The Devil's Arithmetic.
What is your spirit animal?
My spirit. Well, I think I'm gonna go with Toby, my dog. He's exactly like me.
Besides Shakira, who do you admire? And besides Shakira and your mother, who do you admire and why?
My grandma, because she had nothing and she built her life with her grandchildren for all of us from nothing. So.
What have you learned about yourself from being in business now? You're a businesswoman.
To have a thick skin.
Do you have a nickname?
Well, Lele is actually my nickname because my real name is Eleonora.
What is your definition of the perfect day?
When everything goes right mentally.
What makes you mad?
Traffic.
If you could live in any era of time, what would it be?
I'm sorry, one second. What is that era of like the courtesans?
The Renaissance, you mean?
Yeah, where there were courtesans and it was just like the big gowns and balls.
Yeah. So are you talking about like the
Was it the Renaissance?
1800s?
Yeah, like
that one?
Bridgerton.
Yes.
That one. When is that from?
1800s.
Okay, so the 1800s. I would have loved to live in the 1800s.
Nice. Are you a fan of that show?
Yes, I am a fan of that show. Yep.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
Everything. I love the fact that like they didn't start the couples didn't start in love. They just happened naturally, you know. And I love the mystery of who's Miss Whistleton. And then when they say who she is at the end, I was not expecting that. I love that.
That's awesome. If you could take lessons from any expert, what would you learn, and who would it be?
From an expert?
Yeah, so it could be, someone who cooks or music or whatever. If you could take lessons from an expert, like what would you learn and who would you want to learn from?
Taylor Swift. I would like to learn a lot from her. I would like to learn how she's dealt with heartbreaks and hate and for people mocking her.
Yeah. How would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Unbreakable. Complicated. And family orientated.
What's the best advice you've ever been given?
The best advice?
Yeah.
My dad told me the best advice is like, with everything in life, this will pass.
What game show, if you had a chance to be on a game show, what game show would you like to be on the most?
The parkour ones. What are those? You know which ones I'm talking about? The survival, like any show that has to do with surviving.
Yeah, so there's like that. What is that? American Ninja Warrior show?
American Ninja, yeah.
So you like to do the obstacle course and climb the wall and all that?
Yeah.
That's baller. Or there's Survivor, where you have to like do things and tasks. You'd like to be on Survivor?
Yeah, any of those physical stuff.
That's awesome. What are you afraid of?
Needles.
Do you have a superpower?
Do I have a superpower? I mean, I've never broken any bones, and I do so much stunts. So I guess like having strong bones.
And the last question is, when do you feel the most creative?
When I'm in the shower.
Why don't you give some advice to creators, people who are thinking about doing this full time? It's hard, right? Maybe you have a part-time job or a full-time job, but you really want to be a creator full-time. What advice do you have?
That if you love it, continue doing it, because that's what's going to keep you from not giving up. The love, the passion that you have from it, not doing it because you want to be popular or have money or just, be famous, because it's a very hard industry. But if you really love it, you're going to do great. And anything that comes to you, it's going to give you the strength you need at the end of the day to wake up and be like, I love what I do. So this is why I'm doing it, not for anybody else, but for me. And I think knowing that hard work pays off eventually, is not going to happen overnight. Maybe it does, but to accept the fact that it might happen in a year, or 2 years, or, but continue going, that's very important. And to have a thick skin, because, the bigger you get, the more hate you're going to get. It's the truth, because people want to be like you.